Hey, welcome back to the next chapter. I'm B9. This is chapter 12. Keep your head up. All right, this is going to be my last video of 2023. Today's New Year's Eve, and we're going to be talking about keep your head up. Before I get into that, you see me wearing the Steelers gear. Steelers game's about to start in a little bit. I'm a big Steelers fan, but I'm also from Michigan. So I'm a big Lions fan. And last night we got screwed by the referees on a 2-point conversion. If you watch that game and you watch the clips afterwards of the lineman checking in with the ref to let him know he was eligible, and the ref just ignored him and just screwed the Lions. So Lions fans, keep your head up. So the real topic, or reason behind the topic of keep your head up, is because it's the holiday season, right? Today's New Year's Eve. A week ago was Christmas Eve. So just to give you a little bit of background information, my youngest daughter just turned 11 a few weeks ago, and she is the type of person who doesn't ask for anything. She doesn't want anything. She doesn't have any desire for you to spend money on her. She saves her money. She, for the most part, takes really good care of her stuff because she's like me. If you're gonna invest your money in something, you want to get the most use out of it. You want to make sure you take care of it. So the last day of school was the Thursday before Christmas Eve, and or before Christmas, whatever, you know what I mean. But I'm driving her to school, and it's the last day of school, and I'm like, "Are you excited for Christmas?" And she said, "No." Okay, why not? And she said, "Because I don't want you to buy me anything." And before I could say anything else, she said, "I already have everything I need." So that kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for it. And it kind of choked me up a little bit because, as a parent, it's amazing that she's at that point where she knows the difference between a need and a want, right? So you're excited about that. But at the same time, it brought on these emotions because you're always, as a single parent, you're always worried about, are you doing enough? Are you providing for your family, right? And so for me, I always have this doubt, like, what am I doing? Am I giving them everything that they need? Am I providing for them? Am I giving them what they need emotionally? And am I doing enough financially? Where are we at, and how are things going? And so those things wear on you. You get stressed out. And a lot of us are like that. We worry ourselves to death that we're not doing enough to take care of our kids. We want to make sure that there's enough food on the table. We want to make sure they have clothes on their back. We want to make sure they got a roof over their head. We want to make sure that they're happy. We want to make sure we're giving them all of the attention that they need. We're giving them quality time. We're doing this, we're doing that. And it wears on us. We will worry ourselves to death over our families, especially when it's a single parent household, when we have to take on all those responsibilities by ourselves. And so when my daughter said that to me, all those feelings came to me. And the fact that she said, "I don't need anything, I have everything that I want," or excuse me, she said, "I have everything that I need," it almost was like it lifted a burden off my shoulders. And don't get me wrong, that's probably not a long-term thing. I'm always going to worry that I'm not doing enough. But for those few minutes that we were in that car, I felt relief. And it was because of what she said to me. And even right now, I'm trying my hardest not to get a little bit choked up about it, thinking about it, right? Because it is a big deal, because you don't have somebody there to tell you, "Hey, you're doing enough, you're doing a good job." There are no words of affirmation, right? There's no spouse, there's no one there helping you to do these things. So you always have that doubt in the back of your head. So to get that affirmation from the child or one of the children that you're worried about providing for, it's just an amazing feeling. And I can't describe it. I feel blessed to have the kids that I have. My girls are very, very easy to take care of. They might argue over what they want for dinner now and then. They might have their little disagreements, but for the most part, my kids are very well behaved. They're very respectful. They're very appreciative. Um, I couldn't ask for better kids, right? But I still worry. And I think that's in our nature. I think as a single parent, it's in our nature to worry. I think as a man, it's in our nature to worry. I think as a man and a single parent, it's like overload for the worrying, right? Not that women don't. I completely understand that women worry. My mom was always worried when I was a kid. She did a great job of hiding it, but we could still tell. I don't think I do do as good of a job hiding my worrying as my mom did, but I'm also more open with my kids about feelings and talking about emotions than she was because my mom, she's old school. They don't do that. Um, so I'm always encouraging my kids to come and talk to me and talk about their feelings, and because of that, if they pick up on any kind of vibe that might be off with me, then they'll start asking me questions. Daddy, are you okay? How was your day today? Do you need anything? Can I have a hug? Do you want me to watch a movie with you or something like that? They pick up on it. They catch on. Um, so yeah, it was a big deal to me, and I know some people are probably watching this and saying that, well, a kid saying that they have what they need, that's not a big deal, but it really is. For a parent to hear that come out of their child's mouth, that's the whole world. And so if you haven't heard that or you haven't had that experience, I want you to know that you're doing enough. Just keep plugging away, keep doing what you're doing, right? Keep your head up. The very next day, we were at dinner, um, like a work function, right? And we're waiting for everybody to get there. And my youngest goes, TT wants to know what to get me for Christmas. And she had been asking me for a leopard gecko for weeks or months actually. And I kept saying, "Yeah, I'll look into it. I'll look into it." And I kept forgetting to look into it. And so I jokingly said, "Ask TT for the leopard gecko." And she did. And so my sister, um, you know, she knows that my daughter never asks for anything. And she also knows that she's extremely hard to shop for. That's why she was, it's the Friday before Christmas and she's asking her, "What do you want for Christmas?" Because she was having trouble figuring out what to get her. Um, so my sister goes, "This kid never asked for anything. I'm going to give her what she asked for." So she told her yes. And without hesitation, my oldest daughter, who was sitting right next to her, says, "I'll buy the tank." And I wasn't really paying attention because I wasn't expecting my sister to tell her yes, but she did. And then my oldest says, "I'll buy the tank." And I'm like, "Huh? You buy the tank for what?" And she goes, "The gecko." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then within minutes, she had bought a tank for this gecko, right? And I bring this up because it showed me that I am doing something right with the way that I'm raising them. I didn't ask the oldest to get involved. My sister didn't ask her to get involved. She jumped in and volunteered to buy her sister this tank because she wanted to, because it was her sister and she loves her. And a few weeks ago for her birthday, she was adamant that I had to take her to the store so she could shop for her sister herself. And she used her own money to buy her birthday presents. And she did a really good job. She was very responsible with her money, and she was, very creative with the things that she did. And it was a beautiful gift. Um, so I thought it was cool when she just out of nowhere volunteered to buy this tank, right? And so I ended up buying a couple things for the tank, like some decorations and things like that. But it was cool that they did that. And then just to top it off, the day after Christmas, they had received some gift cards um, from their mom to go to a beauty supply store, Ulta. So they asked me, we had some errands to run. They asked me if we could go to Ulta while we were over in the area. And I'm like, sure. So we go to Ulta, and the youngest has gift cards from Christmas, and no, hers were all from her birthday, and the oldest had hers from Christmas. So the youngest actually had more. And the oldest is looking at this thing, and I forget what it was now that I'm thinking about it. But, anyways, it was expensive. For what it was expensive. And my youngest daughter goes, I'll buy it. No question, without being asked to, she just volunteered to buy this thing. And her sister looks at her. She goes, no, that's too expensive. I don't want you to spend your gift card on me or anything that expensive. And I'm just standing there. I don't have to get involved because they're having this conversation about financial responsibility on their own, right? And they go back and forth on, well, I want to buy it for you. I don't want you to buy it for me. I want to buy it. I don't want you to buy it. We're not going to buy it. And so finally, I'm like, okay, how about we look for something similar? And they're like, okay. And so we moved on. And so back to our topic of keep your head up. These are examples of the kids showing me that even though sometimes I have doubts about what I'm doing or if I'm doing enough, they're showing me every day that I am doing what I need to do, that I'm raising them the right way. I'm teaching them things. I'm educating them. I'm teaching them responsibility. I'm teaching them compassion for one another. I'm teaching them to look out for each other. I'm teaching them that. So, one thing that is big for me, and they don't like it when I talk about it, but I tell them one day I'm going to be gone, right? Because we all die. That's part of life. You're born and then you die. So I try to prepare them so that one day they are going to be without me. And I want them to be able to look out for one another. So I'll tell them, one day I'm going to be gone, and it's just going to be the two of you, and you need to take care of each other and look out for each other. And so I've been teaching them that for I don't know how long. And so when they're doing it now, even with me still being here, it makes me feel good that it's ingrained in them at this point. So I'm hopeful that when that day comes and I'm no longer around to look out for them, that they'll still look out for each other, right? So when you're feeling down and you're feeling defeated and you're questioning your ability as a parent to raise your children or your ability to provide for your children, keep your head up. Keep going, keep plugging away, keep looking for opportunities to grow, keep thinking about what you're doing and how it's the best thing for them, because you're making the right decisions, whether you hear it or not. I understand that maybe there's not somebody there to tell you these things. I understand that. I completely get it. But know that you are. Watch how your children behave. Watch what they ask for. Watch what they need. And I promise you, you'll see that you're doing enough. You by yourself are enough. You're important. You're important to those kids. You should be important to yourself. And you should always have that feeling of confidence that you're doing your absolute best to provide for them. And It might not seem like it at that precise moment, but it's real. You're there. You're present in their lives, and you're doing everything in your power to provide for them and take care of them. So keep your head up. I cannot stress that enough, because I get down. I think in one of the last couple chapters, I was kind of feeling down, and it carried over into the video because my brother Steve saw how I was feeling, and he sent me a message like, if you need to talk, you need to talk. You speak to whoever you got to speak to, get this out. And I realized, okay, that was a little bit of a depressive message that I put out when I was talking, but it was intentional to a certain extent. I wanted to, lay it out there. So I hope that you understand that what you're doing is important. How you're taking care of your kids may go unnoticed in your eyes, but it's not in theirs. They see what you're doing. They know what you're doing. They understand what you're doing for the most part. And as they get older, they will understand better. So keep plugging along, keep doing what you're doing. Know that you're doing enough, you are enough, and they deserve to have you completely without the stress of worrying that you're not doing what you need to do, because the reality is you are. So that's really all I had to talk about today. I just wanted to give you a little bit of encouragement. Again, I hope that you realize how important you are to your kids. I hope you realize how important you are to yourself, and you don't let these times get down on you, because with the holidays, it can be stressful, because you got your normal responsibilities of paying the bills and providing the food and the roof over their head, like we talked about earlier. But then you've got that added stress of making sure that they have a happy Christmas. Maybe you can't afford to do this or do that for them, but it's not about the money. I remind my kids every year that we give gifts because it's a way to show respect and love for one another. It's because the wise men brought gifts to Jesus, right? It's the season of giving. And so when you give somebody, it's a representation of how you feel. I'm giving you this gift because I love you. It doesn't have to be a huge value. Like this year, I got my two daughters necklaces, and I just got them on Amazon, and they came with little notes that why I love them as a dad. And it was a heart. One had a man walking with a toddler girl, and the other one had a man holding an infant girl. And so each one of those got one to kind of represent me with the older one and me with the younger one. And it didn't cost a lot of money, but they absolutely loved it. And I did the same thing with my niece and nephew. My nephew got, he's, we're both born in September. And obviously, my nickname is B9. So I've got some necklaces with a 9 on it. So I got him one and wrote him a handwritten note. And my niece, I found her a dog tag that had an inspirational message from an uncle to a niece. And she loved it. And so it's these little things that are important. And it doesn't have to be that you spend $1,000 per child. It doesn't have to be that you spend $500 per child. You could spend $50 or $100 or whatever you can afford, but make it meaningful. Make it something that shows that you're just trying to convey how much you love them. And I promise you, that's enough. You are enough. I'm going to keep hammering that home. You are enough. You're doing a great job. You're raising kids on your own. You're doing everything within your power to make sure that they have a good life. Keep plugging along, keep fighting the fight, keep your head up, and do what's right, and you will be okay. I promise you that. Until the next chapter, I'm B9.